31 of the second chapter, where it says, "Further, having regard from your duty, you should not falter. There exists no greater good for being a Kshatriya than a battle enjoyed by duty." In this verse, the Lord begins talking about the importance of one's Swadharma. We already said that there's two types of scriptures. There's Astripadhan and Astrupadhan. Similarly, there's two types of theories, Gnatvaya and Kartavya. Gnatavya means those theories are to be learned, and Kartavya are those theories that are to be put into practice. Swadharma, which Shri Krishna starts talking about from the 31st verse of the second chapter, is a Kartavya theory, because it's about how one must live their own life. It's not right that Arjun stops fighting like he's saying, because he's a warrior and it's his duty to fight. There will be nothing more meritorious for Arjun than to fight in this war. Great personalities say that Swadharma is nothing more than accepting the rules of God's game. In whatever games you play, there will be rules, and you will only enjoy those games if you play them by the rules. Otherwise, you will not enjoy the game. What will happen if a group of people play cricket and none of them obey the rules? None of them will enjoy it. In the same way, this universe is a God's great game. Lok avakti lila ke valyam na ek aki ramate. Why did God create this universe? Because he was alone and he didn't like it. Nobody likes it when they're alone and there's nobody else around, and hence others were created. But when others come, then problems arise. Why? Because when others come, then there is a fear. Diti ad vaibhayam. All the fear in this world is because of others. All the fears in the world is because of others being there. If there were no others, then there would be no fear. But one would not be satisfied if one were alone. Therefore, others are needed, but the creation of others leads to fear. For example, the fear of public opinion. So what can one do? Secondly, when others come, then they're either more powerful or weaker than you. If a person is weaker than you, then he will fear you, and he will think that you're trying to exert your power over him. But if someone is more powerful than you, then you'll be scared of him, because he may try to exert his power over you. But two things, strong and weak, haves and have-nots, will always be there. When others come, then this fear also comes. So how should we behave with others? This is what Swadharma is for. God gave birth and began his game. This universe in his game, and following the rules of that game is Swadharma. Look how broad the Swadharma of the Gita is. It's not about Hindu, Muslim, Sikh and so on. It's about how you should make your life great. Not only that, it's about how you should make the lives of those around you great, so that society can advance. This is how you should live your life. This is Swadharma, and even if Arjun looks at this from his angle, then it's not right that he leaves the battlefield. Swadharma tells us how we should live our lives. Our great saints have divided people in Indian society into four varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, meaning the intellectuals, warriors, merchants and labourers. However, this type was not determined by birth, by a person's root interests. It's very interesting that whenever society has been divided in the world, then there have always been four sections. This is the case in all civilizations. In ancient Greek culture, they were very advanced and divided society into four parts: aristocrats, warriors, traders, slaves. This properly aligns with the four Indian varnas, but we never use slaves, we use Shudra. In ancient Egyptian culture, society was divided into four parts, and so was Chinese culture. This was the case in all civilizations. Varna basically means color, shade, not caste. The color was determined by the mental characteristics and the interests. Only after looking at this was Varna decided. One type of Varna is people in society who have an interest in knowledge. You can give them possessions and wealth, but wealth will not matter to them. If you give them power, it will not matter to them. They just want wisdom. These people are those who we call Brahmin. If you look at society today, these are the intellectuals. For example, the doctors, engineers, scientists, they are all Brahmins. A person who spends all their time in the laboratories making inventions is, in my opinion, a Brahmin. The scientist that invented penicillin, Alexander Fleming, was approached by various company representatives all over the world and was asked to give these companies the patent. He got everyone together and gave all of them the patent for penicillin. He gave them all the formula and told them how to make it. The speech that he gave to these people is worth reading. He said that any scientist that invented something has always stood on the shoulders of giants that are his predecessors. I have invented penicillin, but it's because of the countless people who experimented and tried to invent this before I did. I used their results and therefore became successful. Therefore, I do not have the right alone to take credit for this invention. He gave penicillin to society. The reason why we get penicillin so cheap in the stores is because of this. If he had kept the patent and asked for a royalty, then he would have become extremely rich with millions of dollars, but he did not want it. In my opinion, Alexander Fleming is a Brahmin. A Kshatriya is a type of person in society that has an interest in power. The definition in Sanskrit is Shatra Trayatre iti Kshatriya. Shara means a difficulty or problem, and a person who saves one from this is a Kshatriya. The Kshatriya Varna was created because rishis looked at the social contract theory. It was a social contract. During primitive times, the first men and women used to wander around alone, and the necessity was to wake up in the morning and to find fruits and flowers, or to hunt animals. They would eat the fruits or animals, they would fill their bellies, and they would go to sleep. The next day would come, and they would wake up and start hunting again. This was the only necessity, to eat and sleep like the animals do. But it so happened that whenever they went hunting for animals, then the animals would kill them. Additionally, they could not sleep properly at night, because if they fell asleep and there was a lion or tiger walking around in the forest, it would kill them at night. Man thought, at this rate I will not be able to sleep because I will have to be alert 24 hours a day. I can get nothing done during the day. 10 or 15 people would get together, and the groups got bigger, and thought that rather than them all staying awake all the time, why don't 2 people stay on guard while the others slept? If the animals would come up to hunt them, then these 2 people would face them, and if they could not so, they would wake the rest of them up, and all of them will get together and fight. Therefore, when the animals don't come, then they could all sleep peacefully while the other 2 protected the rest. This was decided, and the 2 brave people in the group were told to guard the group at night while the rest of the people in the group slept. The 2 told the rest not to worry because they would guard the group at night, but they also thought that if we are staying up all night and guarding them, what about our food during the day? We also get hungry. How can we stay up all day and night while you all sleep and we don't? The rest of the group told them not to worry because some of the food they gathered during the day would be allocated to the hunters while they rest during the day. This was the tax system. This was how the primary tax system was created. This is how the tax system started. One would protect the other in return for something. Over time, one out of these 2 people became more and more powerful and eventually became the king of the group. As the groups got bigger, then more people were needed to protect the groups, and the king got together 5, then 10, then 50, then hundreds of people to protect those groups. These were the people that enjoyed protecting the society so that the rest of the people could live their lives in peace. This is a social contract theory. This is how the Kshatriya Varna came into existence. This happened all over the world. So many people had the mental attitude that they would get rid of others' problems. They did not mind what happens to themselves as long as God gave them the strength to get rid of others' difficulties. They had no interest in wealth or knowledge. They're just interested in protecting other people. They need power, they need the palace and the throne. Even in a classroom of 30 people, you have 2 students who are Kshatriyas. Even in a family, you have 1 Kshatriya. This is Kshatriya. Kshatriya Trayate iti Kshatriya. The third Varna are ones that may not be interested in wisdom and may not have the thirst for it, nor do they have interest in power. They just want wealth. These are the Vaishyas. Vishati iti Vaishya. There are 2 phrases in English. Power is money and money is power. For Kshatriya, power is money, and for Vaishya, money is power. They are just interested in wealth and money. There used to be the farmers at the beginning. Vishati means to enter. When a person has been working in the farm for the whole day and is covered with dirt all over, then rishis must have seen the farmer, and the farmer thought that the farmer looks as if he's coming out of the ground. Therefore, the definition is Vishati iti Vaishya. The 4th Varna are those whose main interests are to serve society. They have an interest in looking after the physiological and material needs of society. We call these people Shudra. These are those who cannot see others sad and want to get rid of others' grievances. Shuddha dravati iti shuddhya. During primitive times, men were walking around bare feet in the jungle. When a thorn got stuck in the foot, they would start screaming. Blood would start coming out. Someone might have seen this and they got very sad. He thought, how can I get rid of this person's pains? Over times, they must have got the leaves from the trees and then the skins of the animals and made footwear out of these. Now we have the shoemakers who are examples of Shudras because they try to get rid of the bodily pains of society. During primitive times, man must not have had clothes and must have been cold during the winter or wet during the rainy seasons. Someone must have seen this and thought that it must be nice if they tried to get something from the trees to put around everyone, and then we had cotton and so on. A tailor is also a Shudra. There are no houses to live in, and many people used to live in caves or under trees. This created the art of architects, who are also Shudras. Therefore, the system is not useless or discriminatory. It's a logical way of thinking. Because one cannot see other person's physical difficulties, he became a Shudra. Around 600 years ago, people twisted this whole system and changed the meaning of Shudras from Shuddha Dravati to Shuddha, meaning one who gets sad from seeing others' physical pain, to one whose physical situation makes us sad. People created rules such as if these people live outside the town, then they should not get water from well outside the town, or you should carry a cloth around so you don't catch the smell. This is a wrong meaning. This was a social evil that crept into society. This was never what our rishis intended. It was a logical system. Arjun is a Kshatriya, and therefore it's his duty to save others from harm. Shri Krishna has already said that people in society are in trouble, where he said earlier in this chapter that this is a time for crisis. Arjun has to fight for Dharma, and if he turns back now, it won't be right. Arjun talked about running away, but running away is not Dharma. His Dharma is to fight. He has to give punishment to those on the side of Adharma. If Arjun does not do this, then he will miss a priceless opportunity. Finish.